Chapter 11 The Law of Gender, Balancing the Masculine and Feminine Energies Within. The two currents that create all things, every process of creation, whether in nature, in the mind, or in the soul, unfolds through primordial energies. The ancient sages call them the masculine and the feminine, not because they belong to any gender, but because they represent two complementary currents through which the universe builds itself. The masculine is the force that initiates, directs, defines, and stabilizes. The feminine is the force that receives, nurtures, shapes, and transforms. Together they form the backbone of all manifestation. You see this duality everywhere, night and day, firmness and softness, stillness and motion, roots and blossoms, thought and emotion, strategy and instinct, the seed's impulse to sprout and the soil's willingness to hold it. The universe's subtle message is clear. Nothing is born from one energy alone. Life requires partnership. The law of gender is that partnership. It teaches us that every dream, every creative act, every transformation begins with an inner alignment of these two energies. One offers the spark, the other shapes the flame. But most people live lopsided, not because they are flawed, but because they have been raised in the world that teaches us to favor one side. Some push relentlessly without listening inwardly. Others dream endlessly but never act. The imbalance creates frustration, burnout, and stagnation. To live well, you must learn the philosophy of harmony, not equality, but right timing, not symmetry, but intelligent alternation, not dominance of one energy, but dialogue between two forces inside you. The silent craft of inner creation. Imagine a sculptor working with stone. Before he ever strikes the chisel, he must first sense the spirit of the stone, the way it leans, the tension within it, the hidden shape waiting to be born. This sensing is feminine energy, receptive, intuitive, quiet. Then the clarity he chooses where to place the first cut. That joy is masculine energy, decisive, directional, firm. The sculpture must use both energies repeatedly throughout the process. Observe and strive, feel and shape, listen and decide. Too much aggression and the stone cracks. Too much hesitation and the sculpture never appears. Your life is sculpted in the same way. The feminine energy lets you envision possibilities, feel direction, understand your emotions, hear intuition, and sense meaning. It is the inner whisper that says something is calling you. The masculine energy takes that whisper and gives it shape. It commits, structures, organizes, and brings the vision into form. It is the inner voice that says, begin. Creation falls when either energy refuses to participate. When the feminine imagines endlessly, but the masculine never acts, dreams remain invisible. When the masculine pushes without listening to the feminine's wisdom, actions become forceful, misaligned, and hollow. You can meditate, visualize, journal, affirm, and desire, but without the masculine impulse to take the first step, the inner world remains sealed. Similarly, you can work, push, and hustle, but without the feminine intuition to guide the direction, you wander without purpose. The law of gender says creation is dance between conception and expressions, intuition and action, inner receiving and outer binding. You must become both the sculptor and the stone. When life breaks you open, the feminine energy of the transformation. People fear the feminine energy because it asks for vulnerability. It asks you to feel deeply, to sit with yourself, to confront your inner world. It is the energy of gestation. Things must be held, nurtured, and transformed in quiet. The seed does not burst open because someone commands it. It breaks open because it must. The same is true with the human heart. There are seasons in your life when you are not meant to act or decide. You are meant to sit, to reflect, to receive what the moment is teaching you. During these seasons, your intuition sharpens, your values clarify, and your soul rearranges itself for what comes next. They are not passive seasons, they are transformative ones. In the silence of inner struggle, your feminine energy is doing a sacred work of reforming your inner landscape. You are being shaped, softened, and deepened. You are preparing for a form of action much wiser than the one you would have chosen before. This is why the law of gender wants us not to rush the feminine. What is becoming inside you needs time. You cannot force healing. You cannot rush clarity. You cannot demand insight. Like a cocoon, the inner world opens only when the transformation is complete. And when it does, your masculine energy awakens with a new sense of direction, stronger, clearer, more alive. When the feminine heals, the masculine leads wisely. When the masculine leads wisely, life becomes meaningful. The sacred architecture of action, just as the feminine must not be rushed, the masculine must not be feared. Many people, especially those who are sensitive or spiritual, avoid action because they fear making mistakes. But action is how the feminine's wisdom becomes real. No masterpiece is created through thought alone. No dream becomes tangible without structure. A potter may feel inspired to create a beautiful bowl, but without shaping the clay, without using the hands, the pressure, the technique, the bowl will never exist. The masculine energy is the hand that gives the formless its outer shell. It shows up as discipline, clarity, boundaries, strategy, commitment, courage, execution. But the ability to say, I will do what's required, even when inspiration fades. Too much masculine energy without the feminine becomes harsh, controlling, rigid. But too little masculine energy becomes streams collecting dust. Action is the structure that makes intuition trustworthy. Consistency is the temple where inspiration can live. Discipline is the soil which possibility grows roots. The law of gender teaches that nothing in the universe remains eternal forever. If something truly matters to you, it must eventually find its way into form, and form requires strength. the dance that builds a life. Most people live through alternating cycles without realizing it. They may call them ups and downs, motivation and stagnation, clarity and confusion, but they are none of these things. They are simply the masculine and feminine taking turns. When you are dreaming, reflecting, resting, imagining, or feeling, you are in the feminine. When you are acting, deciding, building, creating, or leading, you are in the masculine. Once you understand this rhythm, life becomes less confusing. You stop criticizing yourself for needing rest. You stop feeling guilty for wanting quiet. You stop shaming yourself for not being productive every day. You stop forcing yourself to work when your intuition is asking you to listen. You begin to understand that your inner rhythms are not flaws, they are part of the creation's blueprint. Even the great oak tree spends months appearing motionless, only to burst forth in the season of growth. Its stillness is not death, it is preparation. Its movement is not chaos, it is expression. Your life functions in the same way. The law of gender teaches you to honor both your times of silence and your time of movement, your season of shaping and your season of becoming, your inner receiving and your outer binding. When you live accordingly to this dance, your life becomes less of a struggle and more of a symphony. The inner marriage, when your two energies become one. Every spiritual tradition speaks of an inner marriage, a union of two forces that brings wholeness. The alchemists call it a merging of sun and moon. Taoism expresses it as yin and yang. Western mystics call it union of soul and spirit. All of these symbols point to the same truth. You are complete only when both energies inside you cooperate. This is not poetic language. This is psychological, emotional, spiritual, and practical. When your intuition, feminine, offers guidance and your reasons, masculine, refines it, you make wise decisions. When your feelings, feminine, connect you to the others and your boundaries, masculine, protect your well-being, your relationships flourish. When your dreams, feminine, expand your imagination and your discipline, masculine, shapes your habits and your goals manifest. Life begins to function with less resistance when your energies are married. This marriage creates clarity without rigidity, softness without weakness, strength without aggression, ambition without emptiness, empathy without self-betrayal, direction without force, surrender without passivity. You stop swinging between extremes. You stop fighting yourself. You stop living as if half of your soul is missing. Instead, you become someone who acts with intention and rests with purpose, someone who feels deeply and thinks clearly, someone who builds responsibility and receives gracefully. You become whole. Living the law of gender in daily life. To embody this law, you must tune yourself in its rhythm. Ask yourself, what is my feminine asking of me? Rest, reflection, creativity, feeling, healing. What is my masculine asking of me? Action, decision, boundaries, structure, courage. When both needs are honored, your life becomes effortless. like the doorway that opens without pushing. But when one side is neglected, you feel the tension, exhaustion, restlessness, confusion, and emotional discomfort. The goal is not perfection, but awareness. Wake up in the morning and feel your energy. Is today the day to build or a day to listen? A day to plan or a day to prepare the soil? A day to speak or a day to remain silent? A day to push or a day to breathe? When you live this way, you stop fighting the natural flow of creation. You stop forcing what is not ready. You stop waiting for what requires action. You live according to the intelligence of the universe itself. That is the true mastery. Final reflection, becoming the artist of your own existence. In the heart of the law of gender lies the profound message. You are both the dreamer and the builder of your life. The feminine inside you dreams, feels, guides, and reveals. The masculine inside you builds, protects, commits, and manifests. When the two join, you become a creator, not just of goals, but of meaning. You become the sculptor who can sense the hidden shape inside a stone. You become the gardener who knows when to plant and when to wait. You become the seeker who listens deeply and the warrior who acts courageously. You become someone whose life is not random but consciously crafted. The universe itself is built upon this balance. You were designed to embody the same. When your inner masculine and inner feminine walk together, your life becomes not just successful, but harmonious, purposeful, and filled with quiet power. This is the essence of the law of gender. This is the harmony that creates the world. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy it. Please click like and subscribe.